Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Dreyer, a mother's journey through the challenges of celiac disease. Dreyer, a household name as a weather anchor on NBC's Today Show, is known for her poised and professional demeanor on air. But what many viewers don't see is the dedication and strength she exhibits behind the scenes as a mother. Not only does she juggle a demanding career, but she also faces the daily challenges of caring for her three children, Calvin, Oliver, and Rusty, while managing her eldest son's chronic illness, celiac disease. Through her openness on social media, Dylan has shared her family's journey, offering a glimpse into the harsh realities of raising a child with a health condition that requires constant attention and care. When Calvin, her firstborn, was just 6 years old, Dylan and her husband, Brian Fichera, began to notice alarming signs that something was wrong. Calvin began to experience unexplained abdominal pain, persistent headaches, rashes, and a significant loss of hair. These symptoms grew more troubling over time, prompting the family to seek medical advice. The road to a diagnosis was long and filled with uncertainty, as doctors initially couldn't pinpoint the source of Calvin's distress. After multiple tests, including an endoscopy, the doctors discovered a stomach ulcer and ultimately diagnosed Calvin with celiac disease, an autoimmune disorder triggered by the consumption of gluten. For Dylan, the diagnosis came with a mix of relief and fear. While celiac disease wasn't as dire as some of the conditions they feared, it was still a life-altering diagnosis for Calvin and for the entire family. We were very concerned because we thought it was something much more serious because of how some of the results came back. Dylan told *people*. You start Googling and thinking the worst, so when we found out it was celiac, I could say, okay, that's an inconvenience, it's a life change, but we can manage that. We were very grateful. Celiac disease is a chronic condition that affects the digestive system and is triggered when a person with the condition consumes gluten, a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. For people with celiac disease, gluten causes an immune reaction that damages the small intestine and interferes with the absorption of nutrients. This means that even a tiny amount of gluten can have serious health consequences. For parents like Dylan, the task of ensuring that their child avoids gluten at all costs can be overwhelming, especially when they are away from home. As a mother, Dylan's devotion to Calvin's health is unwavering, and she takes every step necessary to ensure his safety. This includes making sure that meals prepared for him are free from any trace of gluten, something that requires constant vigilance. Dylan often finds herself researching recipes, checking labels, and even packing kitchen utensils when traveling. A recent Instagram post revealed just how far Dylan is willing to go to make sure Calvin's dietary needs are met, especially when traveling for family vacations. In the post, Dylan shared a photo of her suitcase, which was packed with an impressive array of kitchen equipment. You know what takes up a lot of space in your suitcase when traveling with celiac disease: pots and pans and GF pancake mix, and spatulas and canivas and QT boards and Dreyer. She wrote in the caption, humorously showing just how much effort goes into accommodating Calvin's dietary restrictions. The image of a suitcase stuffed with kitchen gear might have seemed extreme to some, but for Dylan, it was a practical necessity. In the comments, fans and fellow parents praised Dylan for her dedication and resourcefulness. One commenter wrote, "You're a great mom and those boys are lucky to have you." While another remarked, "Wow, you are one heck of a mother. I admire all that you do for your oldest son." Dylan's transparent approach to parenting has inspired many of her followers, who see the tireless effort she puts into raising her children, especially Calvin, as a reflection of her love and commitment to their well-being. Dylan shares 3 sons with Brian: Calvin, who is now 8, Oliver, 5, and Rusty, 3. Despite Calvin's diagnosis, Dylan is determined to make his life as normal as possible, which is why she doesn't shy away from the extra work required to keep him healthy. Even when traveling, Dylan takes the necessary steps to make sure that Calvin doesn't accidentally consume gluten and that he can still enjoy his favorite foods while away from home. For Dylan, ensuring that Calvin doesn't feel different or isolated because of his condition is one of her top priorities. When Dylan reflects on the initial stages of Calvin's diagnosis, she recalls the deep sense of fear that came with the unknown. "You start Googling and thinking the worst," she says. "But when we found out it was celiac, I felt relieved because I could say, okay, that's an inconvenience, it's a life change, but we can manage that." The journey to finding out what was wrong with Calvin wasn't easy, but once the diagnosis was made, Dylan felt a sense of control. She knew it wasn't a terminal illness, but it was something she would have to carefully manage for the rest of Calvin's life. The challenges of living with celiac disease are not only physical but emotional as well. As Dylan mentions, the constant concern about feeding Calvin properly is always at the forefront of her mind. "With Calvin having celiac disease, it's honestly all I think about," she confided in *AELO*. "All I have to do is feed kids all day long, and it's hard to feed him sometimes." Ensuring that meals are safe for Calvin can be a time-consuming task, and traveling to unfamiliar places can make it even more complicated. In many parts of the world, including the United States, gluten-free options are still limited, and many restaurants and grocery stores don't take the necessary precautions to prevent cross-contamination. For parents of children with celiac disease, dining out can be a stressful experience. Despite these challenges, Dylan has discovered that some places are more accommodating for those with celiac disease. For example, during a trip to the United Kingdom, Dylan was pleasantly surprised to find that the country was much more celiac-friendly than she had anticipated. Kudos to Waitrose and so many of the grocery stores in the UK, because I don't know if celiac disease is not taken as seriously, but it's more of a nuisance in the United States. You have to really hunt to find items, she shared. Dylan explained that in the UK, gluten-free options were more readily available, and she was able to find safe foods more easily. "There is such a difference, and I wish it was easier here in the United States. And it's not, it's very frustrating," she added. This experience made Dylan realize that it's not just about managing Calvin's celiac disease. It's about making sure that he can have a happy, normal life despite it. She even mentioned that part of the reason she wanted to bring her family to the UK was because of how much easier it would be to manage Calvin's condition there. It was a revelation for Dylan, who has become a passionate advocate for better accessibility to gluten-free products in the United States. While the UK may have made things easier, Dylan remains committed to ensuring that her children feel like they belong wherever they are. Despite the struggles, Dylan remains positive and focused on making Calvin's life as normal as possible. He is, after all, just a young boy, and Dylan is determined that he should not be held back by his condition. "He has no idea what I do to make his life totally normal, so he doesn't know any different," she told *People*. Calvin's life might look a little different from other children's. His meals are carefully prepared, and his travel bags are packed with pots and pans. But for him, this is just the way things are. Dylan's tireless work and dedication have ensured that Calvin doesn't feel isolated or left out because of his illness. For her, it's all worth it to see him smile and feel safe, no matter where they are. The story of Dylan Dreyer's journey through her son Calvin's battle with celiac disease is a story of love, resilience, and dedication. As a mother, Dylan will stop at nothing to ensure that her children are happy, healthy, and well cared for. From packing pots and pans on family vacations to advocating for better gluten-free options, Dylan Dreyer has proven that there is no limit to what a mother will do for her child. While the road may be difficult, Dylan's commitment to her family, and to Calvin's well-being remains unshakable. She is a true example of what it means to go the extra mile, not just for her children, but for the family she loves and cherishes so deeply.